Hello, guys. I am Shane Davis, 20-year comic book veteran. I'm here with none other than beautiful, lovely, sometimes she has been known to make me a sandwich, wife of mine, light of my life, Yanzi Lynn.
Hi.
And amongst all this news that Batman's the only thing DC Comics has got selling, they're having to slaughter the Justice League, I figured we would go off the beaten path and I would do a little bit of a critique in how DC Comics can pull themselves up. So here we go. So I was thinking about this today, being 20 years in this industry, 20 plus actually, moving on. I've been in a lot of meetings at DC Comics, mainly with Dan Didio, big editorial people, Mike Carlin. I've been around the block, Jim Lee, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the DC universe and how people talk about the DC universe in a corporate setting a little bit. But primarily this video is how DC Comics, how do you, if you came in, they rang me up, they said, Shane, we're hiring you to pull DC Comics up out of the dumpster. How are you going to do it? And easy. There's 4 steps to this. First, quit putting all your energy and effort into Batman. As Batman sells, Batman does sell himself. There is no real reason to put big talent in Batman because, one, Batman can kind of be its own comic universe. Like, he doesn't really fit in, believe it or not, with the rest of the DC universe as far as like power settings, the villains, and so on and so forth. Like, it's not like you're ever going to see like the Penguin fight, Superman, right? And it's not like you're ever going to see Batman fight like, I don't know, Mongol or Darkseid, really. These are things that like he doesn't really fit in. The only reason he's really mingling into Justice League is because he's that cool. Now, before we get into it, please hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. And so first off, let's talk about Superman. What was your favorite Batman book, Yanzi?
I think hands down, Hush. Hello, you have A-star talent both in the writing and the art department.
Right. People are going to go, well, Shane, I know where you're going with this. You're going to say, why not just do a Hush with Superman? And that's absolutely where I'm going with this. The biggest thing that DC Comics has never been able to pull off, and it's the most obvious thing to do, is just copy and make a bookend for Hush with Superman. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about the technique of Hush. Now, a lot of people made fun of Hush editorial before it came out. Why? Because it had been worked on for so long, and they just didn't think it. They just thought it was just like, it's fun. Of course, you're going to like it. Editorial on Batman. They kind of resented it in a way before it came out. Jim Lee had been working on it for like 3+ years. But here's the thing with Hush, and it's so efficient. It introduces all the classic Batman villains in a few issues. Did they stick the landing? No, but that's another story. There was a reason they didn't, and it had to do with Paul Levitz at the time being the publisher, and there was a change. But anyways, back on point, Superman. If Jim Lee worked on a Superman book like he did for Tomorrow, but let's pretend Superman's not brooding the whole run, and instead every issue you're being introduced to cool Superman fighting, I don't know, Metallo, Parasite, Lex Luthor, and if you just went through a rogues gallery of classic Superman villains and had Jim Lee draw it, and let's just have fun. It just needs to be fun. Have sidekicks, have guest appearances. Of course, Batman would have to pop in for one issue, but he should quickly leave that issue too. This should be a Superman book of who's who and why Superman is cool. And even with Unchained, this was not accomplished. What went wrong with both Unchained and for Tomorrow is they tried to make new villains. I can't even remember these villains' names because they never stuck around. And that's where everything goes wrong. We don't need new characters. And this is something Bendis got wrong right away when he came on Superman, is he tried to build a new villain, and he's the reason Krypton exploded. Nobody cares, okay? They like the Superman origin they have. What they want is just a nice, fun book, a collection. Let's see Jim Lee draw the coolest Parasite. Let's see Jim Lee draw the coolest Crypto. Whatever, Lois Lane, all the classics. And we're going to call this the 4 pillars of DC Comics that hold up the roof, which is Batman. Now, Batman's very important to DC Comics, but the DC Universe, without these 4 pillars holding up that roof, DC Universe is effed. All right, so who's next? Green Lantern. Now, I worked a little bit around Jeff Johns and Ethan. Ethan was they had a big hit with Rebirth. Green Lantern, when I grew up, like I had Kyle Rayner come in after Hal Jordan, and Green Lantern was a weird character. Like when people explain like the color yellow, like you could beat him to death with a yellow baseball bat, and there's nothing he can do. I think Frank Miller had a cool gag on that with All-Star Batman and Robin. The truth is Green Lantern, if you can make Green Lantern cool and get around this whole yellow thing, he is a very awesome space cop book. It gets you out of the normal, aesthetic of and background of cityscapes, buses, and all of this, of crashing planes, and you end up in space with any cool alien that any artist's imagination can come up with. Better yet, they're kind of a police force in space. Alien worlds, every issue there could be a new planet, a new whatever, a new sector. And with Blackest Night and Rebirth, it actually brought up all of DC's cells because it was on fire. Green Lantern was absolutely on fire, so much so working around editorial, they actually thought Sinestro Corps was a missed opportunity, and it should have been an event. In hindsight, it was that popular that DC felt like they actually left money on the table, which they did maximize with Blackest Night. And this is the core of getting DC Comics to work, is there are characters that you really have to put in the work on. You really have to make a really awesome, good story with an awesome writer, with an awesome artist, and you have to develop some new things, sure, but rest assured, there are villains like Sinestro, the classics, people do want to see make an occurrence. Now, you were a big fan of Green Lantern, right?
I'm a massive fan of Kyle Rayner, but I think that was a massive misstep with him throughout the whole Blackest Night, and I'm just sad that we don't really get much of him now.
Yanzi's sad that there's no Kyle. So this, again, is one of the pillars that I think holds up Batman in a way as far as the DC Universe roof. Okay, so that's two of them. Now, what's the third? Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman historically doesn't sell. And you're going to say, Shane, why are you going to put in a full effort on Wonder Woman? I should have saved her for last because you need a Trinity. And she is an icon. She does visually represent a strong female in the DC universe. Whether or not the book sells every month, it is very important to DC Comics that Wonder Woman exists and is properly managed. Now, I don't mean that this should be a feminist agenda book. I don't think it should be an SJW book. I just think it should be a strong, attractive, just like Superman's attractive, just like Batman's attractive. They're not running around rocking dad bods or anything. An attractive Wonder Woman figure, a representation of the ideal woman form, deflecting bullets, punching people in the face, flying an invisible jet, whatever. And before people, and this is the biggest misstep with Wonder Woman, is people always try to reinvent something about her. Like this invisible jet, it doesn't make sense. Let's pretend it's an alien. Themyscira, what is that? What is it? Greek? How is she tied to Greek mythology? My point is nobody really cares about any of that. They really just want a cool looking Wonder Woman standing there looking attractive every issue, and develop a story with Diana Prince. Sure, get her to not fit in with the DC universe. She should always kind of seem out of place. And honestly, DC Comics can fix Wonder Woman by just looking at the MCU Thor and just ripping that off by the playbook. And I think Geoff Johns did this fairly well with his new 52 version of her in Justice League of America. That's kind of where she belongs. She's very much needed in DC Universe, but she should always kind of feel out of place with modern society. I think she's a great addition. This would give DC a fully functional Trinity. Wonder Woman, listen, DC Comics is gonna make money selling Wonder Woman keychains, t-shirts, whatever. The comic sells. She just needs good representation in comics, and I think the sales will come. I think there have been good runs of Wonder Woman. Perez, I would even say Azzarello and Chang, different versions of her have done fairly well with an audience and selling in trades and whatnot. And I still think, she's not a lost cause as a comic. I think a lot of artists want to draw her, and there's no reason that there is not a great looking Wonder Woman comic on the shelf every month. And then that's going to take us to our fourth pillar. and that would be the fastest man alive, the Flash. So why is Flash here? Well, personally, he's got arguably probably the coolest costume in modern comics. I would say we're all together in comics since like Spider-Man. I would say he's like there's Spider-Man, Batman, and then I think if you're really just looking at costumes, Flash is a big contender in this. This character pops. You can't help but look at him. He's very dynamic. He's always in motion. I mean, this should be the best action comic. And that's the thing. This should be the best action comic in America. He's always moving, running, colorful villains. I will say I'm not a big fan of Flash's rogue gallery, but their designs are good. Just like
Weather Wizard?
Weather Wizard is not too great.
Well, okay, fine. Then how about Pied Piper? He's cool.
Captain Cold. These are great looking characters. They do look good. The Rogues Gallery do look awesome. Mirror Master, sure. But I do think, here's the thing, there have been sales in Flash. I mean, Jeff Johns was able to get Flash to sell with Rebirth with Ethan. This is a character that I do think it's worth the creative effort to put in. Why? He rounds off, just like Wonder Woman, a very strong, stable DC universe. And you're going to say, Shane, why put all the time, money, and effort trying to pull these characters up when all you got to do is sell Batman for DC Comics? Because this is the reality. There is not going to be a DC Comics if they can't sell other things than Batman. Because Batman doesn't need DC Comics anymore. Batman is also, to put all the eggs in one basket, one movie, an R-Pat's movie, hypothetically, could be bad. Everybody's going to say, Shane, the trailer looks great. That movie's bad. DC Comics is done because Batman's the only thing selling. And what if this thing ruins Batman? I know that's probably not going to happen, but that is a possibility, especially when you put all your eggs in one basket. What if that basket breaks? I think having a stable B-list, and comparatively to Batman, I think everybody would kind of say, yeah, these are like A-minuses B-list characters compared to Batman right now in pop culture standards. If you could get Superman, all of these characters to sell, guess what you got? You got a Justice League of America book that's actually selling, that you don't have to turn into dinosaurs, that you don't have to put in the ground. They're not dead. You know, DC Comics right now cannot sell Justice League to save their life. If you could get these characters together, you would have a Justice League book that would outsell Batman. Think about that. And then right up under Batman, you'd probably have Superman maybe selling. Maybe you'd have Green Lantern on fire. And maybe each one of these characters could quarterly have their own 3-month events that span into one another. And see, this would be ideal. And this would pull profits and get retailers and fans alike looking forward every quarter to what's happening in DC Comics. But right now, I'm just a man selling Inglorious Rex, racking up $247,191, getting ready to hit. Is it possible my second crowdfunding book could hit $250,000? I don't know. Why don't you listen to this trailer and find out?
Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6 cents for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the game. Can't control me. I got the power.